The morning sun cast long shadows across the manicured gardens of Windsor Castle, where 8-year-old Princess Charlotte ran freely among the rose bushes, her laughter echoing through the peaceful grounds. She wore a simple white dress with small blue flowers, her hair flowing in the gentle breeze as she chased butterflies near the fountain. The young princess had always found solace in these gardens, away from the formal protocols and endless ceremonies that filled her daily life. Charlotte's protection officer, James Morrison, watched from a respectful distance, his trained eyes scanning the surroundings while allowing the princess her precious moments of childhood freedom. He had been assigned to the young royal for 3 years now, and had grown fond of her spirited nature and infectious curiosity about the world around her. Today felt different though, as tensions within the royal family had been running high following recent family disputes. The princess stopped near a patch of daffodils, bending down to examine a particularly vibrant bloom when she heard footsteps approaching on the gravel path. Looking up, she saw Camilla walking towards her with determined steps, her expression serious and somewhat strained. The queen consort wore an elegant burgundy coat and appeared to be alone, which was unusual for her public appearances around the castle grounds. Camilla approached Charlotte with what seemed like forced warmth, her voice carrying an undertone that made the young princess feel uneasy. She spoke about how Charlotte needed to come with her immediately, mentioning something about a special appointment that had been arranged by her father, Prince William. Charlotte tilted her head in confusion, as she distinctly remembered her father mentioning he would be away on official duties that entire week. The 8-year-old princess had always been perceptive beyond her years, a trait she inherited from both her parents. Something about Camilla's demeanor felt wrong to her. The older woman's hands were trembling slightly, and her usual composed royal bearing seemed forced and artificial. Charlotte had grown up surrounded by royal protocols and had developed an intuitive understanding of when adults were being truthful with her. James Morrison noticed the interaction from his position near the garden entrance and began walking closer, his protective instincts immediately alerting him to potential trouble. His training had taught him to recognize unusual behavior patterns, and Camilla's approach to Charlotte seemed rushed and uncharacteristic. He quickened his pace while maintaining his professional composure, not wanting to create unnecessary alarm. Charlotte stepped back from Camilla, her young mind processing the inconsistencies in the story she was being told. She had learned from her parents never to go anywhere with anyone without proper confirmation, even within the royal family. Her mother, Catherine, had always emphasized the importance of checking with security first, no matter who was making the request. Camilla's frustration became more apparent as Charlotte hesitated, and she reached out to take the young princess's hand, insisting that time was of the essence. She spoke about how disappointed Prince William would be if Charlotte didn't cooperate, using emotional manipulation that seemed foreign to her usual interactions with the royal children. The queen consort's behavior was becoming increasingly erratic as Charlotte continued to resist her attempts. The princess looked around for James, feeling the first waves of genuine fear as Camilla's grip on her wrist tightened. Charlotte had never experienced anything like this before, even during the most stressful royal events. Her instincts told her to call out for help, but she wasn't sure if she would be believed or if she might be making a terrible mistake about someone so important in the royal hierarchy. James Morrison reached them just as Camilla was attempting to lead Charlotte away from the garden area towards a side entrance of the castle. His professional training kicked in immediately as he assessed the situation, noting Charlotte's obvious distress and Camilla's agitated state. He approached them with calm authority, asking to verify the arrangements that had supposedly been made for the princess. Camilla's reaction to James's intervention was telling. Instead of providing the usual protocol confirmations that would accompany any authorized movement of a royal child, she became defensive and evasive. She insisted that her authority as queen consort was sufficient and that questioning her was inappropriate. Her voice rose slightly, drawing attention from other staff members who were working in nearby areas of the garden. Charlotte seized the moment of distraction to move closer to James, her small hand instinctively reaching for the security of her protection officer. She whispered that something felt wrong and that she didn't remember any appointment her father had mentioned. James nodded subtly, his experienced mind already formulating the appropriate response to what was clearly an unauthorized attempt to remove the princess from her secure location. The situation escalated when Camilla realized that her plan was being thwarted. Her carefully constructed story began to unravel as James calmly but firmly requested proper documentation for any movement of Princess Charlotte. The Queen Consort's composure cracked, and she made one final desperate attempt to assert her authority, claiming that the royal family's private matters were beyond the scope of security protocols. Other members of the royal protection team began converging on the scene as James discreetly activated his communication device. The garden, which had been peaceful moments before, was now the center of a tense standoff that would have far-reaching consequences for everyone involved. Charlotte stood close to James, her young mind trying to process what was happening around her. The princess watched as more uniformed officers appeared, their presence both reassuring and frightening. She had never seen so many security personnel mobilized within the castle grounds during what should have been a routine morning. The gravity of the situation was becoming clear even to her 8-year-old understanding, and she began to realize that something very serious had almost happened. Camilla found herself surrounded by professional security officers who maintained respectful but firm positions around her and the princess. The Queen Consort's face had gone pale as she realized the full implications of her actions and the position she had put herself in. The carefully planned attempt had failed, and now she faced the prospect of explaining her behavior to both the security team and the royal family. James Morrison gently guided Charlotte away from the immediate area while other officers handled the situation with Camilla. The young princess looked back over her shoulder, still trying to understand why someone she had known her entire life had tried to take her away without proper authorization. Her trust in the adults around her had been shaken in a way that would affect her for years to come. The morning that had started with innocent play among the flowers had transformed into a crisis that exposed hidden tensions within the royal family. As Charlotte was escorted back to the main residence, she couldn't shake the feeling that her world had fundamentally changed. The security breach had been prevented, but the emotional impact on the young princess was just beginning to unfold. Word of the incident spread quickly through the royal household staff, creating ripples of concern and speculation about what had motivated such an unprecedented breach of protocol. The attempted unauthorized removal of Princess Charlotte would trigger a comprehensive security review and force difficult conversations within the royal family about trust, authority, and the protection of the youngest members of the monarchy. The immediate crisis had been resolved through the quick thinking and professional response of the royal protection team, but the underlying issues that had led to this moment remained unaddressed. Charlotte's safety had been preserved, but the incident had opened wounds within the royal family that would prove difficult to heal. The young princess's ordeal was far from over, as the aftermath of this morning would continue to unfold in ways no one could have predicted. The castle's secure communication system buzzed with urgent messages as news of the garden incident reached the highest levels of royal security. Within minutes of James Morrison's alert, a full emergency protocol was activated, something that hadn't occurred within Windsor Castle's walls for over a decade. The gravity of the situation sent shockwaves through the entire royal protection network, as the attempted unauthorized removal of Princess Charlotte represented an unprecedented breach of trust from within the royal family itself. Chief Protection Officer Sarah Williams rushed through the castle corridors, her mind racing through the protocols that had been designed for external threats, not internal family disputes. She had served the royal family for 15 years and had never encountered a situation where a senior royal had allegedly attempted to circumvent established security measures. The complexity of handling this delicate matter while maintaining the dignity of the monarchy weighed heavily on her shoulders. In her private sitting room within the royal apartments, Princess Charlotte sat with a warm blanket wrapped around her small shoulders, still trying to process what had happened in the garden. A child psychologist specially trained for royal family situations sat nearby, speaking gently with the young princess about her feelings and ensuring that she felt safe and protected. Charlotte's eyes remained wide with confusion and lingering fear, occasionally glancing toward the door as if expecting someone unwelcome to enter. The princess kept asking where her parents were and when they would return to the castle. The protection team had already initiated emergency contact protocols to reach Prince William and Princess Catherine, who were attending separate official engagements in different parts of the country. The urgency of the situation required their immediate return, but the logistics of royal schedules meant that several hours would pass before they could be reunited with their daughter. Meanwhile, Camilla found herself in an unprecedented position within the castle's security wing, where she was being questioned about her actions by senior protection officers. The queen consort's initial defiance had given way to a growing realization of the serious consequences of her behavior. She sat in an elegant but sterile room, surrounded by officers who treated her with the respect due to her position while maintaining the firm boundaries required by their duty to protect Princess Charlotte. The questioning revealed a complex web of family tensions and personal grievances that had been building for months beneath the surface of royal protocol. Camilla spoke about feeling excluded from decisions regarding the grandchildren and expressed frustration with what she perceived as Catherine's influence over family matters. Her words painted a picture of someone who felt increasingly isolated within the royal hierarchy despite her official position as queen consort. As the interrogation continued, it became clear that Camilla's actions weren't entirely spontaneous. She had been planning this encounter for several days, waiting for an opportunity when Charlotte would be in a relatively unsupervised situation within the castle grounds. This revelation elevated the incident from an impulsive mistake to a calculated attempt to manipulate a child, fundamentally changing how the security team viewed the threat level. Back in the main residence, Charlotte was showing signs of delayed stress reaction. The young princess, who had always been remarkably resilient and adaptable, was now experiencing nightmares during her afternoon rest and expressing fears about being alone even in familiar spaces. The royal medical team was called in to assess her emotional state and provide guidance for her ongoing care and recovery from this traumatic experience. The castle staff moved through their duties with unusual tension, aware that something significant had occurred but not privy to the full details of the incident. Whispered conversations in corridors and concerned glances between longtime employees created an atmosphere of unease throughout the normally well-ordered household. The head butler and senior staff members were briefed on the basic security situation to ensure continued protection for all royal family members. Prince William received the emergency call while reviewing plans for a new housing development in Manchester. The color drained from his face as the protection officer explained the situation, and he immediately abandoned his scheduled appearances to return to Windsor Castle. During the helicopter flight back, he called Catherine, who was attending a children's charity event in Wales, breaking the devastating news that their daughter had been the target of what appeared to be an attempted kidnapping by his stepmother. Catherine's reaction was one of fierce maternal protection combined with disbelief that someone within their own family could pose such a threat to their child. She struggled to maintain her composure during the remaining public engagements while internally processing the implications of Camilla's actions. The journey back to Windsor felt endless as she imagined her young daughter's fear and confusion during the incident. The royal family's private secretary worked frantically to manage the potential media implications of the situation while ensuring that Charlotte's privacy and dignity were maintained. Contingency plans were activated to prevent any leaked information from reaching the press, understanding that public knowledge of internal family conflicts could damage the monarchy's reputation and put additional stress on the young princess during her recovery. Legal advisors were quietly consulted about the unprecedented nature of the situation and the potential criminal implications of Camilla's actions. The attempted unauthorized removal of a child, even by a family member, raised serious questions about kidnapping charges and the complex intersection of family law with royal protocols. The Crown Prosecution Service was discreetly notified about the potential need for their involvement in the case. Dr. Elizabeth Hamilton, the royal family's trusted child psychologist, spent considerable time with Charlotte, using gentle techniques to help the princess express her feelings about the morning's events. Through careful conversation and age-appropriate activities, she assessed Charlotte's emotional state and developed recommendations for helping the young girl process this betrayal by someone she had trusted throughout her short life. Charlotte's questions revealed the depth of her confusion about the adult world around her. She struggled to understand why someone she had known as family would try to take her away from the safety of her home and parents. The princess's innocent perspective highlighted the profound violation of trust that had occurred and the long-term impact it might have on her relationships with other family members. Security footage from the garden was carefully reviewed by investigators, providing clear evidence of Camilla's behavior and Charlotte's obvious distress. The recordings showed the queen consort's increasingly aggressive attempts to persuade Charlotte to come with her, as well as the princess's instinctive resistance and her relief when James Morrison intervened. This documentation would prove crucial in any potential legal proceedings. As afternoon turned to evening, preparations were made throughout the castle for the return of Charlotte's parents. Special security measures were implemented to ensure complete privacy for the family reunion, while medical and psychological support staff remained on standby. The young princess had shown remarkable bravery throughout the ordeal, but everyone understood that the real healing process would begin when she was back in her parents' protective embrace. The investigation expanded to examine Camilla's recent communications and activities, searching for any signs of planning or outside influence that might have contributed to her unprecedented behavior. Royal protection teams reviewed all protocols for internal family interactions, recognizing that their existing security measures had been designed primarily for external threats rather than dangers from within the royal household itself. Intelligence reports were compiled for senior royal family members, outlining the incident, the immediate response, and the ongoing investigation. These briefings would inform difficult family meetings in the coming days, as the monarchy grappled with how to address such a serious breach of trust while maintaining unity and protecting Charlotte's well-being above all other considerations. The sound of helicopter rotors cutting through the evening air signaled the arrival of Prince William and Princess Catherine at Windsor Castle. Their urgent return had been coordinated with military precision, but nothing could have prepared them for the emotional storm that awaited them. As they rushed through the castle's private entrance, their faces reflected the anguish and fury of parents whose child had been threatened by someone they had trusted implicitly for years. Princess Charlotte ran into her mother's arms the moment Catherine entered the sitting room, her small body trembling with relief and residual fear. The reunion was both heartbreaking and beautiful as Catherine held her daughter close, whispering soothing words while her own tears fell silently. Prince William knelt beside them, his strong hands gently stroking Charlotte's hair as she recounted her frightening experience in the garden, her voice small and uncertain. The immediate priority was Charlotte's emotional well-being, but the larger implications of Camilla's actions hung heavy in the air. Dr. Hamilton briefed the parents on Charlotte's psychological state, explaining that while the young princess was resilient, the betrayal by a trusted family member could have lasting effects on her ability to trust adults and feel secure in family settings. The recommendation was for continued therapy and a carefully managed reintroduction to normal family activities. After ensuring Charlotte was settled safely in her room with additional security present, William and Catherine prepared for the most difficult conversation of their royal lives. Chief Protection Officer Williams provided them with a comprehensive briefing on the incident, including security footage and transcripts of Camilla's statements during questioning. The evidence painted a disturbing picture of calculated manipulation and disregard for Charlotte's safety and emotional well-being. King Charles arrived at Windsor Castle under the cover of darkness, his own helicopter landing on the private grounds as word of the crisis reached him during a state dinner in Scotland. The sovereign's face showed the strain of processing that his wife had allegedly attempted to harm his granddaughter. The weight of balancing his roles as king, father, and grandfather in this unprecedented crisis was visible in every line of his weathered features. The emergency family meeting took place in the castle's most secure private conference room, with only immediate family members and senior security officials present. The atmosphere was electric with tension as Charles, William, and Catherine gathered around the polished oak table where generations of royals had made momentous decisions. The absence of Camilla from this crucial family conference spoke volumes about how seriously her actions were being treated. William's anger was barely contained as he recounted the terror his daughter had experienced at the hands of someone she had known and trusted since birth. His voice grew sharp as he described Charlotte's ongoing nightmares and her new fear of being alone, even in familiar spaces within their own home. Catherine sat beside him, her composure maintained through sheer determination, occasionally adding details about their daughter's emotional state that brought tears to Charles's eyes. The king found himself in an impossible position, torn between his love for Charlotte and his complicated loyalty to Camilla. He listened as security briefings revealed the premeditated nature of his wife's actions, the calculated timing, and her manipulation of Charlotte's trust. Each revelation seemed to age him further, as he grappled with the realization that the woman he had married had deliberately targeted his beloved granddaughter. Legal advisors presented the potential criminal charges that could be filed against Camilla, including attempted kidnapping, child endangerment, and violation of security protocols. The Crown Prosecution Service had indicated their willingness to pursue charges if the family chose to proceed, but they also understood the unique constitutional implications of prosecuting the Queen Consort. The decision would ultimately rest with the family, particularly with William and Catherine as Charlotte's parents. The discussion turned to the immediate security implications for all royal family members, especially the children. Protocol demanded a comprehensive review of access privileges and a fundamental restructuring of how family members interacted with the younger royals. Trust, which had once been assumed within the family circle, would now need to be earned and verified through proper channels. Catherine spoke with quiet intensity about the long-term psychological impact on Charlotte and the need to protect her from any further trauma. She outlined her expectations for Camilla's future interactions with their children, making it clear that she would not tolerate any unsupervised contact and that Charlotte's comfort level would dictate any potential reconciliation efforts. Her maternal instincts had been fully activated, and she would accept nothing less than absolute protection for her daughter. Charles struggled with the personal betrayal he felt from Camilla's actions, acknowledging that he had failed to recognize the depth of his wife's resentment toward Catherine and the children. His guilt was palpable as he accepted responsibility for not addressing the family tensions that had apparently escalated to this dangerous level. The king spoke of his commitment to ensuring Charlotte's safety while also grappling with what this meant for his marriage and his role as head of the family. The conversation became heated when discussing potential consequences for Camilla within the royal family structure. William demanded immediate removal of her access to royal residences and a permanent ban from unsupervised contact with any of the children. Catherine supported these measures while also insisting on professional psychological evaluation for Camilla to understand the motivations behind her unprecedented behavior. Security footage was reviewed in detail during the meeting, showing Camilla's manipulation tactics and Charlotte's obvious distress. The visual evidence was damning, removing any possibility of misinterpretation or excuse-making. Charles watched his wife's behavior with growing horror, seeing her actions through the lens of a grandfather protecting his vulnerable grandchild rather than a husband defending his spouse. The media implications were discussed extensively, with all parties understanding that any public revelation of these events could severely damage the monarchy's reputation. The decision was made to maintain absolute secrecy while implementing necessary security changes behind the scenes. The royal communications team would need to carefully manage any speculation about Camilla's reduced public appearances in the coming weeks. Private investigators were authorized to conduct a thorough background check into Camilla's recent activities, communications, and associations. The possibility that external influences or mental health issues had contributed to her behavior needed to be explored before final decisions were made about her future role within the royal family. The investigation would be conducted with utmost discretion to protect both Charlotte's privacy and the monarchy's stability. Plans were made for Charlotte's continued education and royal duties with enhanced security measures that wouldn't make her feel like a prisoner in her own life. Child psychologists recommended maintaining as much normalcy as possible while ensuring she felt completely safe and protected. The challenge would be balancing her royal responsibilities with her need for healing and recovery from this traumatic experience. As the meeting extended into the early hours of the morning, the family began to outline a path forward that prioritized Charlotte's well-being above all other considerations. The decision was made to temporarily separate Camilla from all royal duties pending a complete investigation and psychological evaluation. Charles would need to make difficult public statements about his wife's health requiring privacy and treatment, providing cover for the necessary security measures. The meeting concluded with agreements on immediate protective measures and a timeline for ongoing decisions about Camilla's future role in the royal family. William and Catherine were given complete authority over their children's security arrangements, while Charles committed to transparent communication about any developments in the investigation. The unity of purpose around protecting Charlotte provided some hope for healing the deep wounds this incident had created within the royal family. 3 months after the garden incident, Princess Charlotte walked through the same rose bushes where her world had nearly changed forever, but now with a renewed sense of security and confidence. The young princess had undergone extensive but gentle therapy sessions that helped her process the betrayal and fear she had experienced. Her resilience, combined with the unwavering support of her parents and the royal protection team, had gradually restored her natural curiosity and joy in exploring the castle grounds. The investigation into Camilla's behavior had revealed a complex picture of mental health struggles, family resentment, and poor decision-making that had culminated in the attempted unauthorized removal of Charlotte. Psychiatric evaluations showed that the Queen Consort had been experiencing increasing anxiety and depression related to her position within the royal family, combined with feelings of exclusion from important family decisions involving the grandchildren. While these findings provided context for her actions, they could not excuse the potential harm to an innocent child. King Charles had made the agonizing decision to separate from Camilla, understanding that his primary duty was to protect his granddaughter and maintain the integrity of the monarchy. The Queen Consort had been quietly moved to a private facility for extended mental health treatment, with all royal duties suspended indefinitely. The official statement cited health concerns requiring privacy and professional care, allowing the family to address the crisis without public scandal or damage to the institution. Charlotte's relationship with her grandfather had grown stronger through this ordeal, as Charles worked diligently to rebuild trust within the family unit. The king spent considerable time with his granddaughter, listening to her concerns and ensuring she understood that the incident was not her fault and that she was completely loved and protected. Their bond deepened as Charles demonstrated his commitment to her safety above all other considerations, including his marriage. The royal protection protocols had been completely restructured following the incident, with new safeguards implemented to prevent any similar breaches of trust. All family members now required proper authorization for any interactions with royal children, and additional psychological screenings were implemented for anyone with regular access to the younger royals. These measures, while necessary, were implemented sensitively to avoid making the children feel like prisoners in their own homes. James Morrison had been commended for his quick thinking and professional response during the crisis, receiving recognition from both the royal family and the security services. His relationship with Princess Charlotte had grown even stronger, as she credited him with keeping her safe during her moment of greatest fear. The protection officer continued to work with Charlotte, understanding that their trust relationship was crucial for her ongoing sense of security. Catherine had emerged as a fierce protector of her children's well-being, working closely with security teams and child psychologists to ensure Charlotte's complete recovery. The Princess of Wales had also become an advocate for updated royal family protocols that prioritized children's safety over traditional hierarchies. Her maternal instincts had proven crucial in creating a safe environment for Charlotte to heal and grow stronger from this experience. The legal implications of Camilla's actions had been carefully managed through private family proceedings rather than criminal court. While the evidence certainly supported potential kidnapping and child endangerment charges, the decision was made to handle the matter within royal family structures to protect Charlotte from the trauma of public testimony and media scrutiny. Camilla's removal from royal duties and access to the children was deemed sufficient consequence given her mental health circumstances. William had used this crisis to strengthen security measures for all his children while working to maintain their sense of normal family life. The Prince of Wales had demonstrated remarkable leadership during the difficult family meetings and decisions that followed the incident. His primary concern remained his children's emotional well-being, and he had successfully advocated for enhanced protection without creating an atmosphere of fear or paranoia. The ripple effects of the incident had led to positive changes throughout the royal household's approach to child protection and family security. Staff training was enhanced to recognize signs of inappropriate behavior or potential threats from any source, including family members. The culture of the royal household evolved to prioritize transparency and child safety over traditional deference to rank or position within the family hierarchy. Charlotte's education had continued with additional focus on personal safety and trust-building exercises. The young princess learned valuable lessons about listening to her instincts and seeking help when something felt wrong, skills that would serve her well throughout her life as a public figure. Her experience, while traumatic, had ultimately made her more resilient and aware of her own strength and the protection available to her. The castle gardens had been redesigned with enhanced security features that remained invisible to casual observers but provided additional protection for the royal children. Charlotte's favorite areas were maintained and even improved, ensuring that the location of her traumatic experience could be reclaimed as a place of joy and safety. The princess gradually returned to her beloved garden adventures with renewed confidence. Public appearances by the royal family continued normally, with the missing presence of Camilla explained through carefully crafted statements about her health requiring extended private treatment. The media largely respected these explanations, understanding that personal health matters deserved privacy even for public figures. Charlotte's own public appearances showed a confident and happy child, testament to the successful handling of her recovery. The relationship between Charles and his son William had been tested but ultimately strengthened through their shared commitment to protecting Charlotte and addressing the family crisis with wisdom and compassion. The king's willingness to prioritize his granddaughter's well-being over his marriage had earned him new respect from William and Catherine, laying the foundation for improved family relationships moving forward. Professional counseling continued for all family members affected by the incident, recognizing that trust and healing required ongoing attention and support. The royal family's approach to mental health had evolved to become more proactive and supportive, understanding that even privileged positions could not protect individuals from psychological struggles that required professional intervention. Charlotte's siblings, Prince George and Prince Louis, had also received appropriate counseling and support to understand the incident and feel secure in their own safety. The family worked together to maintain unity and love while implementing necessary protective measures. The children's relationships with each other grew stronger as they supported Charlotte through her recovery and celebrated her return to full confidence. 1 year after the incident, Princess Charlotte stood in the same garden spot where her ordeal had begun, but now surrounded by family members celebrating her 9th birthday. The young princess had not only recovered from her traumatic experience but had grown stronger and more confident. Her smile was genuine and bright as she played with her brothers and cousins, protected by both visible security measures and the invisible shield of her family's love and commitment to her safety. The royal family had emerged from this crisis more unified in their commitment to protecting the vulnerable members of their household while maintaining the dignity and stability of the monarchy. Charlotte's experience had become a catalyst for positive changes that would benefit future generations of royal children. The garden incident had ended in triumph over adversity, demonstrating that even the most serious family crises could be overcome through love, professional support, and unwavering commitment to doing what was right for an innocent child who deserved nothing less than complete protection and unconditional love.